Assalamu alaikum, Ms. Rana Hussain. Thank you so much for joining us today for the SPELT conference. I have a couple of very short questions for you, if you don't mind just addressing them, because I know that as the Caretaker Education Minister, you're extremely concerned about the quality of education and particularly in terms of English language teaching and the proficiency of the students. So my first question to you is, you've been involved in curriculum development even before you became the minister. You were advising and you were getting people together for that. So do you think that the curriculum and the textbooks, which are the two main pillars of any good teaching and learning, have in Sindh, I mean, I'd like you to sort of give your views on the quality and how do you think that it's impacting the quality of teaching and learning in the classroom?
Thank you, Dr. Fauzia, and walaikum assalam. Your question is very loaded. So I don't think I can answer it in a short while. It requires a longer discussion. But I can tell you that the way a textbook is written in any part of the world, and since is no exception, we look at a curriculum which is out-based, student learning outcome-based curriculum. So those, the text is aligned towards those outcomes. So that, to that extent, yes, it is. But again, the question is that who is writing the textbook? That's very important. We do have representatives from SPELT who come and join the group, but many times I have heard complaints that there are people who do not agree with their version and their version is questioned and it's changed. This is very unfortunate. The reason is, when I studied a little bit, the reason is that most of our people who are engaged with language, they themselves do not have linguistic background. So they come with literature. And for them, structural English is very important and not communicative English. So there should be more grammar exercise, there should be more definition. So that is an issue right now. But nevertheless, the books are comparatively better than the previous books, but there is still a lot more to do. With regards to curriculum, right now we are doing an exercise where we're looking at the curriculum that was developed in Islamabad in 2020. So that curriculum and the curriculum of Sindh is being reviewed and see if there is some rooms for adaptability and room for integration.
You talked about textbook writing, and sometimes textbook writers are not trained to write textbooks. And so do you think that, I mean, as SPELT, we really feel that, and because we've been involved in textbook writing, that two things are important. One is you should have the classroom experience. That's the first most important thing. But also the ability to read and translate the curriculum into materials. And for that, naturally, the teachers are not trained. So would you suggest that the teachers or the textbook authors need some, what I call nurturing or training to become textbook authors or better textbook authors?
Dr. Saiba, this is very strange that we do not have a assigned textbook writer. Like there's a textbook writer who are writing in progression. They keep on changing. Nevertheless, recently when I was having this power, I just told them that whatever book you are writing, give us the names of the people who will be writing, and SPELT is willing to give them a 5-day or a 4-day workshop in which they will go through the process of how to write a textbook, and the Sindh Textbook Board has agreed to that. So let's see, this will be one of our experiences which then we can further take it for the next editions.
Thank you very much. I think that that's a real step forward, because even the best of teachers probably do need some extra skills to be able to translate the curriculum into materials that are fun, and as we saw in the conference this morning, that are also leveraging technology and using the latest materials, and also knowing about the learners. So I think that would really be helpful.
Last point, Dr. Saab, I would really like to make is that textbook writing, again we are coming to a resource. I personally feel that we should have now a provision of multiple resources. One textbook then confines you to do, languages are not learned through a textbook. I mean, I don't think that is the way we learned languages in higher education, especially in high schools. We did have a book, but there was the teacher behind the book, and there was multiple ways. The Great Expectation novel was not read, but it was watched, even at that time in 1961, 62, I think it was. So what what I'm saying is this: we have to create an environment where there is more language experiences. Textbook is only one experience, so multiple experiences. I would really appreciate if SPELT can do a workshop, and I would like it to be done at a grade level. So if it's primary teachers, then it should be for the primary teachers and give them the kind of things. I've just learned that inshallah very soon SPELT will have its own podcast. You're developing those, so that would be more for secondary, higher secondary. But for primary, again, there are YouTube channels available. I mean, some private schools use them. So let the teachers have an idea, and it's not difficult. Every teacher has a smart mobile now. So let us think about how we give them multiple resources. That's point number one. And point number two is language is not done in a classroom. Language is done through the environment. Language is done as things move. You go around and you pick up the language. I have insisted in the schools that I lead in the private sector that I want walking walls, the talking walls, sorry, not walking, that will be a disaster. I think these days I am hearing so much about these disasters that walking wall, no, so the talking walls. And I just came to this place, mashallah, and the walls are talking to me. I can see this, there were genres there were a lot of historical background, and that's how we learn. You pass by and you see things. So that I would really appreciate if we give our teachers these kind of understanding, that just not a textbook, but just try to create an environment.
Thank you very much. I mean, learning of languages does not happen only in the classroom, but beyond the classroom walls. I think that sets a great message to take to our teachers and to our school organizations and organizers. And the other thing is that textbook is only one resource. And I totally agree with you as an educationist. Yes, we need to have multiple resources, and not only the teacher, but the students should have access to them. So thank you very much for your ideas, and thank you for joining us today.